he'd miss her as much as he had, and considering her silence in response to his early texts and the calls she'd let go unanswered, she hadn't forgiven him for his last-minute decision to leave. As the head of the Thunder's athletic training department, she'd be answering to him as lead team physician, something he doubted would make her happy. But they were both adults and professionals. They'd make things work. And if he had his way, he'd win back her trust. Somehow.
Willow James walked down the hall of the Miami Thunder football stadium, headed to the area reserved for press conferences. Ian Dare would be announcing the new head physician. Normally, the information would be revealed via press release to the public and in a private team meeting. But given the fact that the former doctor, Peter Jonas, was currently doing time in prison for defrauding the IRS, taking a bribe to pay gambling debts, and injecting the Thunder's star quarterback with banned substances in return for money to pay off his loans, the team needed to make a statement. As she turned a corner toward the press room, she passed life-size photographs of the Thunder's star players, a tribute that followed them from the old stadium. Because this one was new, the smell of paint still permeated the air around her. She'd been around the organization for a while, had done 2 summers and a full-year internship with the team prior to working as one of the trainers for years before being promoted to lead last month. She knew how fortunate she was to have found a place for herself with the Thunder. There were many trainers like her with a stellar academic record, but it had been her relationship with Dr. Peter Jonas, her one-time foster father, that had given her an in. Having known him for years, she'd never suspected he was capable of such betrayal. His wife, Bella, was destroyed, and since the Jonases were the last of 5 foster homes Willow had been in, and by then she'd been near to adulthood, she had an ongoing relationship with them, unlike the other families who'd taken her in and easily let her go. She kept in close touch with Bella and spoke to her often. If there was anyone in her life Willow trusted, it was Bella Jonas, and she'd look out for her any way she had to. Peter was another person who'd let her down. Life taught her that it was in her best interest to keep people at a distance, and every time she broke that rule, she'd been hurt in the end. Given Braden Prescott's status, the news about Doc had spread fast, hitting the team hard. Ian had withheld the name of the new doctor until announcement time, and she'd find out along with everyone else in a few minutes. She stepped into the room, the crowd of reporters buzzing with anticipation over the upcoming news. Scanning the seats in the back, she walked toward the closest person to her in the athletic training department, Steffi Hughes, a petite brunette who was a few years younger than Willow's 31, but they'd been friends for almost 2 years, shared drinks after work, attended exercise classes together, and bonded over their love of sports. As the only 2 women in the training department, they'd gravitated toward each other, and Willow had let Steffi in more than she did most people. "Glad I'm not late. I was doing paperwork and lost track of time," Willow said as she slid in beside her friend. Steffi shook her head. "Not at all. Any ideas who they're bringing on?" "Not a clue. I haven't heard of any shakeups at other teams, so they're not grabbing anyone we'd know of that way. I just know that Mr. Dare wants to make a statement that we're starting fresh and with someone who has no possibility of being corrupted in any way. He hated the scandal that hit us. Didn't we all?" Steffi said. "Everyone has been tiptoeing around here. I'm ready for a change in atmosphere. I know Doc's second in charge has been holding down the fort, but everyone knows he's looking to move west with his family. We're mid-season and need a qualified doctor in charge." "Amen," Willow said, just as Ian Dare strode into the room and stood at the podium. An imposing man in a black suit with a white shirt, top button opened. Ian was also extremely good-looking. He exuded power by virtue of his attitude and backed up his controlling demeanor with a solid work ethic, so everyone respected him. With his dark brown hair and very familiar indigo eyes, every time she saw Ian, she was reminded of the man she wanted to forget, the man she'd dubbed "he who shall not be named." The well-known words fit the guy who'd easily dumped her and taken off for parts unknown. Ironically, he was also related to Ian. Information that had come to light after he'd left for a stint with Doctors Without Borders, a decision he'd made seemingly out of nowhere. Not that they'd been looking toward the future, but she'd had strong feelings for him that had been growing by the day. She'd let herself start